What she had not forgotten was the love that had first taken root in the timeless soil of the Exchange. Book 3 in the Library Trilogy, the book that held her heart by Mark Lawrence, caps off what was an epic series. Brilliant book, absolutely fantastic book. Very different to, Mark Lawrence's earlier work. His gritty, grim, dark fantasy. This one's, very different. And that's what I really loved about it. I love the fact that he challenged himself as a writer. He explored different themes in these books, and he created this brilliant world and really focused on different aspects and elements. And the library, this interconnecting library that holds all these multi-worlds together is absolutely brilliant. And you get to see another one. I was going to say modern times, but it's not modern times. It's Nazi Germany. They, Ute and the other brother, Cloris, they come out in a bookshop. They through the Exchange and walk into Nazi Germany, and that adds a new element with young Anna, this new character they introduce, and sort of how the library, this interconnecting force, like manipulates or is being used to manipulate history and time and space, and that is, the way Mark works all these intertwining sort of threads of this book, because we were seeing it, and this is where doing these series is hard, because I'm trying not to tell you too much, but now I'm up to the third book, so there's things you sort of got to know. So, but as it's winding through, these interconnecting stories and these timelines of, you sort of see it all in one world, or you believe it's all in one world, and it's the Skeeter, the KNF, the humans, and those creatures, and I'm missing one, dancing back and forward in time through the Exchange, different events, seeing different points of view of who's the good guys, who's the bad guys, and that. And he's done that really well in the first ones, but in this one, it throws it right out into sort of, our time and our world, but in Nazi Germany. Although world politics now, it feels a little bit like we've wandered right back into that time, haven't we? But that's another rant, not for this channel. But this book really, really ticked it, and we still chasing Livia and Eva Everardi and his siblings and that, and Clovis and Aprex. That story, that thread in this timeline really ticks off, and so there's a lot of romance in this, a lot of interesting and good love stories, and an interspecies love story. So that's a little bit of an odd one. That's like how he plays with that and deals with that. But that's it still works. I found it. The story works. It was a little bit curious and a little bit uncertain, and he sort of addresses it a little bit, which I won't give the spoiler away on that, but he does address it a little bit. The interspecies romance, and but again, a fantastic book. And the quest to, is the library good or evil, or has it been used to manipulate events in the world with knowledge and power? That's where we're at in the world. What are we gaining from this knowledge? What are we gaining from this world? And every book is stored in this library in multi dimensions. Certain people can walk into certain parts of it, but it's all there. And so when we've come to destroy things or manipulate things, you see it. We saw it in history, just deleting knowledge. We see it like ancient times. We saw it modern history, and we're seeing it now of trying to reverse history, erase history, because it doesn't suit certain political agendas or it doesn't suit ideology, so we'll just erase it. And you've watched it. It's crazy how often it happens in Europe and Western Europe and how they've dealt with like Africa and you know, the Arab nations and that, and now we're actually seeing it in our, you know, in our modern times in America, and some of the troubles there, some of the reports coming out of things being deleted out of the Smithsonian and things like that. It's just crazy, but that's what this book sort of is at its core. Is like, did we take the, you know, if we keep using this knowledge to manipulate things, but this is a little bit more black and white and a little bit nicer. What's happening in our actual world is bizarre and crazy. And I mean, I suppose that's because this is fictionalized, so you can separate yourself from it. But that using all the knowledge in the world, and you know, in this series, in the Library series, it always seems to reset, and then they sort of begin again, and it always is built around the library, this great wealth of power and knowledge. And so they seem to go in these same patterns, even though it's, you know, through the timelines you really discover it's different people on top at different times. So that really adds a different element to that timeline and that way of dealing with things. But like every good story, it's all got to come to an end, and the ending on this is really cool. I love the way they Mark builds it. He's been a master from right since Prince of Thorns. You know, taking us into worlds, ramping up the tension, building us, pushing us into places. And yeah, so we follow this thread along, and Livia's book, she's written a book, you know, she's a librarian, she's studied, and so she's written a book. And so all these different sort of subsections, you know, the families split and fighting each other, the subsections are trying to get together. There's manipulation to find this book and use its power, manipulate the library, and you know, to take the power for themselves. And it's all in this fantastic book that really ramps up to the end, and it takes us to different places. There's some really good surprises in this one. I like a couple of things I didn't sort of see happen. I was like, oh, you know, and Mark's never shied away of, you know, shocking the reader, or, you know, for shock and awe. But yeah, a couple of genuine surprises I didn't see coming, or, you know, the characters, what they're willing to do for their cause surprised me a little bit. So, which is why we read. That's what we love, you know, and that's what this, you know, this channel's about, you know, celebrating books, you know, and if it's all straight down the line and you know everything's going to happen, why would you bother? So that's what we love as readers. Another really cool thing, you know, Mark pulled some really good quotes out of these books, and something I may try and do more as I continue this channel and explore it, but there's one that really sung out to me, and again, it's because it's applicable to now, what's going on in the world and what's always been on. So it's Carol's talking, and I only know what Officer Hands told me back in the shop and Otto said in the alley. I doubt they are unbiased sources, but I'm keen to learn. You know, this is in the sort of Nazi Germany thread of the book. It seems that persecuting a minority is a regrettably common trait among humanity. King Arnold chose the people from the dust. He called them dusters, radically identifiable group. A radically identifiable group. But it's that segregation, you know, that's sort of the point. I don't think I needed to read the whole of that quote. But it's that segregation. As soon as we label somebody something, then it's so easy to make them different, to make them not us. We separate their humanity with labels, and that's, you know, happened throughout this book, and it happens throughout our life. And that's, I think, you know, where books and writers and artists and that are the keys to humanizing us, because it's a crazy world we live in, and if we continue to allow ourselves to be manipulated along these lines, which I don't know, you think with all our technology, all our knowledge and thing we have in the world, we still separate ourselves based on insignificant labels. And yeah, there's a little bit of that in this book that really resonated with me. And again, because it's always happened in humanity, and it's really happening right now in humanity. I don't want to use that as an affront to turn you off this book, because it's a great series. It's a brilliant action, typical Mark Lawrence. Well, I say typical because, like I said many times, he's really evolved as a writer, but typical in the way that brilliant writing, fast pace, and yeah, a lot going on, ramping it up, and an epic ending. In that respect, it's very typical Mark Lawrence. But so I don't want to turn anyone off with this political thing, but I think that's why books are so important. And if you can, in fiction, we're readers, we're thinkers, we're open to ideas, and the more we realize that the idea that we are all just people trying to do our best, and we share this humanity, the better off we'll be as a world. And that's why I think readers and books and ideas and exchange are very important to the world. This is probably not going to be any great shifting of ideas and changing the world book, but it's still a very good book that I highly, highly, highly recommend. The Book That Held Her Heart. Brilliant book by Mark Lawrence. Third book in the Library Trilogy. Absolute fantastic read. Happy reading. Subscribe and follow for more.